You're in Dallas, winning with Blue-White Miracle Blade. His deck is basically the same. Again, he has 3 Stoneforge, a Snapcaster, Vendilion, a bunch of different spells, has top, has counterbalance. But Alex Khanin, his deck's different.
Yeah, he's playing the Tezzeret deck that I believe had success at a couple of opens a while back. Plays obviously 4 copies of Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas, 3 copies of Jace, Mind the Sculptor. He plays Ancient Tomb and City of Traders along with Talisman, so that he can actually go turn 2 Planeswalker. Yep. Also plays 1 Karn Liberated. Plays Baleful Strix, which is a useful card to have. Also an artifact, so he can make it bigger later in the game if he wants to with Tezzeret. And plays, standard cards you'd expect: Force of Will, Thirst of Knowledge. Has 1 Relic of Progenitus main that he can kind of search for. Plays 3 Chalice of the Void, which can be very useful in certain matchups. And the fact that he can go turn 1 Chalice for 1 against a deck like Elves on the play is very good. So should be interesting to see how this one plays out. I think the fact that Alex has some mana acceleration along with a lot of Planeswalkers that Joe has to deal with should be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Alex does play a turn 2 Trinket Mage off of City of Traders plus Underground Sea. We'll see what he's going to search for here. What options does he have to search for?
He can get Engineered Explosives, he can get Chalice, Relic. He ends up going for the Chalice here. Wondering if he just wants to name... what do you think he goes for? Chalice for 2? Chalice for 1?
Chalice for 2 isn't bad. With Stoneforge Mystic here, Snapcaster Mage, Counterbalance, Counter Spell, those are all decent. His 1s in the deck, 2 copies of Spell Pierce, 3 copies of Sensei's Divining Top, 4 Brainstorm, 4 Swords to Plowshares. Chalice of the Void doesn't seem particularly great here.
Does he want to go for 1? I mean, 1 doesn't really impact Alex that much. But maybe he just has a Thirst for Knowledge. Maybe he's just going to pitch it. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Interesting to see why he decided to search that up and then isn't able to play something. So we do see a Brainstorm here from Joe on Alex's end step, and he is going to sacrifice.
Are we going to get a Thirst in response to the sack? Nope.
Scalding Tarn.
So, yeah, I mean, if he has a Thirst for Knowledge, I can see him just searching up a random artifact that's not going to matter so that he can discard the Thirst anyway. But I'm not sure if he has a Thirst. You'd think that he might have done it in response to the sacrifice, play around Spell Pierce, but
yeah.
Maybe he... So we get a Plowshare from Joe on the Trinket Mage.
Just wants to get that off the board, keep the road clear. You see Alex is having a little bit of difficulty with lands. He didn't play a land on his last turn. Joe's going to untap. He's going to draw a card here.
So we have multiple Force of Wills on Alex's side, it looks like.
So you do see a Thirst.
He does have a Thirst. Interesting that he wouldn't play around Counter Spell or Spell Pierce.
And he is going to get Spell Pierce,
and he ends up getting Spell Pierce because of it. So
you see a Force in Alex's hand.
Are we going to fight over it? That's the real question.
We're not.
So interesting choice by Alex to not play it when Joe was tapped out. But we have a Chalice for 1 here.
Brainstorm in response. Alex going to fight over this. I'd be surprised if he did, and he's not going to. Brainstorm's going to resolve. Joe going to draw 3, put 2 back. Does have a Flooded Shrine to shuffle the garbage away, and we'll see if Chalice for 1 is going to resolve or not.
Yeah, I mean, he could just put, if he has any 1-drops left in his hand, put them on top of his deck. He already used 1 Brainstorm. He used the Plow. He used a Spell Pierce. He used a 2nd Brainstorm. So maybe he's just fine with it resolving.
Yeah. Gotten rid of most of his 1s in this deck.
Yeah, if he has another 1 in his hand, he can shuffle it away now. So, yep, definitely he's letting it resolve. He's got 2 copies of Jace in his hand. He's got bigger fish to fry, it appears like. And got a Baleful Strix here. Looks like that one's probably going to resolve.
Gets himself a card. Keep in mind that Vault of the Whispers is pretty important too. He can search for that with Trinket Mage. Alternatively, he can target that with Tezzeret Agent of Bolas to make it a little bit bigger, make it a little bit better.
Yep. So I would expect a counter battle to occur shortly over Jace the Mind Sculptor.
You think that one's worth fighting over?
It seems like it might be worth fighting over. We know that Alex does in fact have Force of Will. So we'll see whether or not the Jace actually resolves on Joe's side of the board.
You have Baleful Strix here on the screen for you guys. AJ Soccer's invitational card. Just loves his value. Big fan of unearthing that, getting another card. Just look at all the things you can do.
So many things.
The 1/1 Death Touch Flyer.
We get an island here.
Even kind of looks like AJ too.
A little bit.
Kind of hairy. Could use a cut.
Disheveled. So, is Jace the Mind Sculptor going to resolve?
I feel like it's about that time. Yeah, slam that bad boy down there. It's time for a fight. Round 1.
Especially with the second copy out here.
Force of Will removing Force of Will.
We have another fight. Fight!
Force removing Counterspell.
And
anything you can do.
I know
I
Alex
can
has
do
another
better.
Force. Does he have a second blue card to actually do anything with? So, doesn't look like he does.
I'd like to Fate Seal you. That's going to go to the bottom. And Jace is starting to tick up. And the thing about Jason Legacy is, given a few turns, where's that card's going to a mystery place? Given a few turns. What's going on here with the judge? Judge wanted to know what that card was pretty bad?
Let me know.
Yeah.
So, we'll see here whether or not Alice can do anything about that Jace.
He does just attack it with the Baleful Strix and pass back, so that's not a good sign because we're going to see the first of what I believe is going to be many brainstorms here. And if you've ever played with or against Jace, it does not take long to not be able to catch up to that card. You see a Flooded Strand passing back.
Yeah, so we have a Flooded Strand 2 to shuffle away any chafe that we might have, as long as he's got a Brainstorm, but you might have forgot that there's a Chalice for 1 in play, so might have wanted to get rid of that Brainstorm.
Yeah.
Don't think he has an answer to the Chalice, so we'll see if he tries to cast a Brainstorm and just forgets about the Chalice or not.
Ancient Tomb here. Maybe we're going to try to slide in.
I mean, Tezzeret would be great here.
His own Jace.
So yeah, but Joe does have a second copy of Jace, I believe.
Alex is going to pass back. We're going to sacrifice that Flooded Strand on the end step
I have
to
a
shuffle
feeling
stuff away.
he might have forgotten about the Chalice.
I think you might be right there.
Let's see. I mean, either way, he put cards on top of his library. He doesn't want them, so he's going to shuffle no matter what. He's got a second copy of Jace that he can cast this turn. He can Fate Seal again if he wants. He can Brainstorm. Alex really needs Tezzeret here. Tezzeret is going to be able to kill the Jace. It'd be great if Joe just goes Jace, Fate Seal you, and Alex is able to drop a Tezzeret and kill the Jace. So he gets minimal value out of it. Just cast the Jace the Mind Sculptor. Going for a Fate Seal or a Brainstorm? Brainstorm, so yeah, he definitely just wants to get cards in there.
Keter Rose, a Tundra, and I believe an Arid Mesa are the cards that are off of
the... So he has a Stoneforge Mystic. Not able to cast the Swords or the Brainstorm, so I believe he might have just shuffled them away.
Yep. So Stoneforge is going to reveal Batterskull, a combination of cards I'm sure we're pretty used to. Get a newer die there on the Jace for you guys to see at home. It is at 3 currently. Could be going down to 2 from Baleful Strix, but also Tezzeret could be looming here. Joe all tapped out. Doesn't have a ton of cards in his hand right now either. So let's see what Alex has here. Does he have another Planeswalker, another Jace perhaps? Does he have that Tezzeret, which would be key right now? Oh, we're just going to start with a little dink of Jace there with the Baleful Strix.
Yeah, we know that Alex, I think, still might have a Force of Will in his hand, but it doesn't look like he has any action. So go for the throat, targets Stoneforge Mystic. Top deck Terminus, get rid of a Baleful Strix.
Worth it, I think. A little 1 for 1. Just get that out of here. Leave my Jace alone. So we're going to see a Brainstorm here.
For a couple turns.
Detention Sphere, Terminus number 2, and Stoneforge Mystic are the cards that are drawn.
So what do you do here? Do you just slam down Stoneforge Mystic? Okay.
I mean, you can slam down Batterskull, but what he does there is he puts Batterskull back from the Jace, researches
Yep.
for it so he can shuffle away. So it's basically like keeping more relevant cards.
Yeah.
And that's a good play. So he gets himself a free shuffle, putting back 2 cards, but effectively putting back 1 because he searches out the other one. A combination you used to see back in old Standard with Callblade, Squadron Hawks with Jace the Mind Sculptor. Kind of a cool little way to get them generate some minor card advantage.
Yeah, we know he has the Attention Sphere as a potential answer to any threat Alex might present.
You see the Arid Mace, so we're going to start seeing some face sealing here as Joe is sensing a little bit of weakness here from Alex. He's just drawing and going, not really doing anything. And he does have, a second Ancient Tomb in play right now, so he does have 7 mana.
Khanin the Liberated. Let's see that bad boy. Khanin versus Jace. What wins?
I think Jace, which is a shame.
Well, I don't know. Jace has done a lot of work so far.
We're going to see a Batterskull
in
here.
his turn, Batterskull.
Our spotter comes right into play with the Germ token.
Right on top of things. See another face seal?
Let's take a look.
Right.
I don't think so. Scalding Tarn comes in. The reason he plays that, of course, is so that he can fetch away with Jace if necessary after a Brainstorm. You're going to see Batterskull come across here. You don't see him activate the Stoneforge Mystic here, which means maybe he does have another equipment that he wants to put into play. Does have a lot of mana. You're going to see Engineered Explosives here for 0. You're going to see a Seed of the Sign now. He's just going to pass back. Engineered Explosives for 0 can blow up the Germ token, but it will also blow up that Chalice of the Void.
Yeah, so interesting here. Does Joe just equip up the Stoneforge Mystic and attack in?
He can equip that up. Also, he can, let this happen. Let him blow up the Chalice of the Void. Makes it so he can turn some of his other cards back on. Those Brainstorms, those other copies of Swords to Plowshares, and then he can just return the Batterskull and then put it back into play with the Stoneforge Mystic. So there is that interaction as well. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Engineered Explosives is going to take care of the Germ and the Chalice, so Joe's 1s are back on, Alex's 1s are back on as well, and you are going to see an island. You're going to see Relic of Progenitus now.
So Relic comes in, not going to have too big of an impact here. Probably just a cantrip for Alex.
Yeah, and Joe's deck isn't a really graveyard reliant deck. He does have 1 copy of Snapcaster Mage. There are no lingering souls in his deck as he's decided to go with Entreat the Angels and the Miracle Engine. So again, Relic is just going to be a card that is mostly cantripping here. We're going to see Batterskull come on back. Courtesy of Stoneforge Mystic.
So I like attacking with both right here.
Want to put him on that 2-turn clock?
Yeah, just make sure you kill him next turn.
We're going to see Sensei's Divining Top finally. And we'll see if Sensei's Divining Top does resolve or not. You're going to see Relic activate here in response. Going to clear out all the graveyards, get himself a new card. You see Alex a little bit frustrated with the situation. This hasn't drawn a lot of action this game.
Yeah, he's got a lot of lands in play, no action. So that's exactly what Joe does. Joe attacks for 5, threatening lethal next turn from either the Jace or from the creature. So
yeah.
I don't even think Karn does anything here.
No, Karn is oddly enough like a blank card, even though how powerful that card typically is. This is the power of Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is the reason this card has been banned in Standard formats and dominates Legacy. You're going to see a Tezzeret here. Spin the top. Swords to Plowshares, among other things. And as good as Tezzeret is in this deck, does have plenty of targets. It's no Jace.
Certainly is no Jace.
Yeah. Few things are.
Probably digs here. Hopes for maybe a Wormcoil Engine. Not much you can draw in this situation to get him out of it.
Yeah,
Ratchet Bomb might buy him a turn.
I can't imagine there's a lot of cards.
Got a Baleful Strix, but
Chase
just bounces that. So.
Yeah. Yep. You got a card.
All right.
He's going to sacrifice here. A little surprised that he's even considering fighting over this, as that really doesn't have much relevance.
I think he just wants to. I don't think he's happy with the cards in his top of his deck up to the top, so he's just probably shuffling them away. Top again. See what's there. Yeah, with just 2 Ancient Tombs up, there's really nothing that Joe has to fear.
Yeah. Alex will get himself a card, but Jace will just be able to bounce the Baleful Strix and then just take care of things. So we're going to see him draw a card.
This is where, like...
It's just a situation where you have to realize what's important, right?
Yeah, this is why sometimes I think these matches end up going to draw so often, because these players overthink things. It's like, your opponent has 1 card in his hand, he has 2 Ancient Tombs untapped. That's it.
Yeah.
You have a Jason play that you like, just speed things up. You want to close these games out so you don't draw.
Yeah.
This is 2 control decks playing against each other. The first game took 20 minutes, so you know. But again, there wasn't that much time, so we'll see what Alex does after board. He has a Liliana of the Veil he could bring in. He has a Pithing Needle that maybe he wants to use on top. 2 Mind Break Traps, which probably aren't going to come in. He's got 2 Blue Elemental Blasts, probably not coming in, and then 2 Duress and a Thorn of Amethyst. So if I had to guess, I'd say Liliana, Duress, Pithing Needle, and Thorn might be coming into this matchup.
Taking a look at Joe, as he is up a game, he'll be on the draw for this game. 2 copies of Red Elemental Blast, those will take care of Tezzeret. 2 copies of Blood Moon, and taking a look at Alex's mana base, looks like it's a little bit weak to that particular card.
Yep.
Vendilion Click, you also find a Disenchant. 2 copies of Venser, Shaper Savant. You'll find a Rest in Peace, a Grafdigger's Cage, a Tormod's Crypt, a Path Exile, and a Mountain. Mountain going in with that Blood Moon and Red Elemental Blast package. I think we can expect to see the 2 Red Elemental Blasts, potentially the 2 Blood Moons, the Vendilion Click, the Disenchant, and some number of Vensers, potentially both or just 1. But other than that, I think things are going to stay kind of the same. He's got a lot of cards that he can move out here. Terminus not especially good in this matchup. Source of Plowshare seems a little bit mediocre. So Detention Sphere is actually going to be okay because it can take care of a Resolved Tezzeret. And then Supreme Verdict, I would be surprised if that stays in after sideboard either. Matchup feels like, to me, Osip, when you're in kind of these mid-rangey to pure control decks mirrors, it's just all about Jace.
Yeah, it's all about Jace. And again, Alex does have Duress after sideboard. He also has Liliana, which could be good in this matchup. Be interesting to see how it plays out. Joe just looked to be totally in control, but a lot of that probably had to do with the fact that Alex's draw just wasn't very good. He had to lose one of his own lands. I think had he been able to get that Thirst of Knowledge to resolve, could have been a different game.
Yeah.
So he probably needs to cast it when Joe sacks the land in response, playing around Spell Pierce. So Joe probably doesn't force a will with Thirst there.
Yeah.
So again, small decisions like that kind of can throw the game in someone else's favor. But again, Alex's draw wasn't that good, and he had to lose one of his own lands because he played City Traders early on. So I don't think it's necessarily in anyone's favor. It just really depends on the kind of draws that they get, which Alex's was terrible in the first game.
So we do see both players shuffling up here. One thing for Alex that is important, or kind of different about his deck, excuse me, is that he just doesn't have the kind of manipulation that Joe has. Joe has Sensei's Divining Top. Joe has 4 copies of Brainstorm. You know, just has the ability to just get through his deck a little bit better, make his draws more consistent. Also, those cards that he can get through his deck with are cheap. Whereas Thirst for Knowledge, you know, it is card advantage, but it is also 3 mana. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, Alex is much more vulnerable to cards like Spell Pierce than Joe is, because his early game all revolves around either having an Ancient Tomb to be able to cast some of my higher costed spells earlier. Like, he really wants a Talisman in play. He really wants a Dimir Signet in play, so he can ramp up to Planeswalkers and kind of jump the curve on Joe. But a card like Spell Pierce can just put a wrench in those plans. You know?
We do see both players lay out their 7. Excuse me. Alex will be on the play this game. Let's see if he can find a 7 that he's happy with. Looks like he's okay. And we are underway. Blue to Delta pass for Alex. Joe's going to start with a Tundra and a Sensei's Divining Top. And kick it back. So manipulation will start early and often for Joe. See if Alex has something impressive with a double land. But we're just going to see Blue to Delta get sacrificed here to start things up. Going to bring Alex down to 19.
Interesting to see if we can get a top counterbalance going. Because, you know, Alex's deck is a little higher on the curve, so might not sure how many things Joe's going to be able to counter every single turn.
We see a Dimir Signet.
So, pretty much the kind of start that Alex needs in this game. Either tries to jam down a Planeswalker here with Force of Will backup, or maybe Duress Thirst for Knowledge. That's kind of the turn that he's probably hoping for. So, it looks like there's a Piety Needle on top.
That's a good one. You want to put those shenanigans to an end as fast as you can. Top is a frustrating card to play against. Gives the opponent so much information.
Yeah, works very well with the miracles, obviously.
Yeah.
Is there any red that he would have right now? Is it mostly just Elemental Blast?
Yeah, he's got 2 red Elemental Blasts. He also has 2 Blood Moons, but he is actively searching out those non-basics. So it also sounds like he probably didn't bring those in. Other than that, I mean, that's the only red that he has.
Yeah, it's probably just on the Elemental Blast plan.
So he's going to just shuffle away, spin top again, get things situated the way that he wants them, and then it seems like he's just going to allow Sensei Top to be hit with Piety Needle, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Top.
I'm surprised he wouldn't want to just shuffle it away.
So you do see a Baleful Strix here. It is a little bit surprising. We see a Swamp.
Because I think
maybe the first 3 were just that bad?
Yeah.
See an Island, just says go. Got to get that in there. There we go.
All right.
Halfway in there.
Good enough.
Andale, andale.
All right, so we're really looking for a Planeswalker here. You know, with 8 in the deck, you'd figure he'd be able to draw one. But again, like you said, he doesn't have any manipulation. He doesn't have cards like Brainstorm or Ponder, sort of dig for cards. The Talisman. So he's got a mana advantage, but that's not really what he wants in this matchup.
Yeah, if you have a mana advantage, that's one thing. But if you
don't have anything to do with it,
yeah,
you need the gas. And you know, Joe has a Planeswalker here, and it's, you know, Joe only has 3 Jace the Mind Sculptors, yet he always seems to have one of the Planeswalkers ahead of Alex.
Yeah.
So you know, it just goes to show you how, you know, the first game it was Brainstorm, and the second game was 2 activations with top. So it's that library manipulation that, you know, just helps him sculpt his hand a little bit better than Alex's deck.
And so we are going to see Jace, and of course this is a card worth fighting over, as it did just win Joe the first game straight up. And now we're going to see a Force of Will here. Alex is going to remove his own Jace the Mind Sculptor. Wow. A little surprised that he didn't cast his own. I mean, you know, the fear of Spell Pierce is very, very real. But, I mean, you see exactly how important it is to make sure that it doesn't resolve.
Yeah, but so it looks like, yeah, but now you just yeah, so it looks like maybe that was his plan, was to just play out another Signet and hope to be able to play it around Spell Pierce backup, but ends up having a Tezzeret.
That's pretty good.
Yes. So are we going to dig, or are we going to just go in for the attack? So looks like we're going to dig.
Now, how do you feel about that? Would you rather dig, or would you rather attack there and maybe turn the top into a real threat and start giving the beatdowns? Or excuse me, the needle.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like attacking here, because you can literally can threaten to kill him, right? Because he's at 17 right now. You make the top a 5/5. You attack with the Strix, so you take him down to 11. Next turn, if you just make one of your talismans a 5/5, you can kill him. So Joe's best play is probably what, Jace?
Yeah.
He top deck a red elemental blast, so you didn't really get that much value out of your Tezzeret.
Yeah, that's my concern too. Is, you know, when the window's open and it does resolve, I think you want to get as much value out of it as you can. Now we're going to see a Jace the Mind Sculptor here again from Joe.
Yeah, like think about your worst case scenario. If Joe plays a Jace and has a red elemental blast for your Tezzeret, you can't even kill the Jace with the attack.
Yeah.
So, you know, you would have been able to drop Joe down to 11. You would have had a 5/5 in play and the Baleful Strix still. He might have been able to bounce the needle and activating his top, but still, it's like, you know, I think it's worth it there.
Now here's the interesting thing. Joe has that Volcanic Island in play, and maybe he did board in that mountain, maybe he didn't. Of course, Flooded Strand can't search for mountain, but if you look at his mana base, he has one Volcanic Island.
So looks like he's going to regret. Does he not have another red source to search?
The Volcanic Island is the one that's in play.
So maybe slight mistake on Joe's part, not being aware of the lands left in his deck. So this is actually a huge turn. Rather than just main phase cast Jace and Elemental Blast your Tezzeret. Tezzeret looks like it's going to be around for a while now. So not only is his Jace going to die, well, he has access to Source to Plowshare, so the Jace is probably going to survive this turn. But actually, no.
No, yeah, definitely not.
He's dead because the Chalice for 1 should resolve.
You know, either he swords the Baleful Strix right now, or the Chalice for 1 resolves.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He can just activate Tezzeret on top, or actually, he probably activated on one of your signets just in case he has a Plowshares for the top, or some sort of removal spell like Ratchet Bomb or something. You don't want that needle on the top going away right away, so maybe naming your Dimir Signet, Talisman, killing the Jace.
So Talisman is going to become a creature, and it's going to kill Jace. It is a 5/5 artifact creature now, and now the pressure is on. You're going to see a follow-up here of Ratchet Bomb. And Ratchet Bomb does a nice job of being a hedge against Entreat the Angels, in case that were Miracle for this turn. So Alex is sitting in a pretty good position here with Chalice of the Void on 1, a Talisman of Dominance that can start attacking, Pithing Needle on Sensei's Divining Top, and we'll see what Joe can muster. He has another Jace.
Yeah, but again, with only 1 mana, he can play a second land. So we draw a Counterbalance, Venser, and an Island. Yet, you know.
Remember, he cannot Red Elemental Blast.
Looks like he's going to be able to activate Tezzeret again, making the Chalice a 5/5, swing in for 10, dropping Joe to 5. Yeah, I think at this point you might just ignore the Jace.
You see a counterbalance here. You know, there's argument to ignore the Jace, but it's going to be a 2-turn clock anyway, so maybe you just make, you know, the Chalice into a 5/5. 1 at the Jace, 1 at you, put you to 10, then I have lethal the next turn. Yeah. Since we can't kill him this turn, what difference does it make?
Yeah, the only thing I'd be afraid of is a Terminus now, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to, you know, if you cast Terminus, but you win after him, it won't really matter. Sure. But again, he's not going to have that many draw steps. If you kill the Jace right now, you know what the top 2 cards are. Did he set up a Terminus for next turn? It's strange he's digging here for some reason. Probably, yeah, maybe he is afraid of Terminus. Yeah. But, you know, again, if he Terminuses, you still have the Tezzeret in play, and you have plenty of other artifacts to make a 5/5, so I think I would have preferred to just drop him to 5 here.
It could be potentially going for the ultimate on Tezzeret too right now.
I think he's far away from that, right?
As you guys do see a Worm Coil Engine. We'll bring Tezzeret up again for you guys. Ultimate is -4. Lose X life and gain X life, where X is the number of, it was twice the number. So looking, Talisman, Chalice, Needle,
1, 2, 3,
Ratchet
4,
Bomb,
5,
Talisman. Yeah, so he has enough.
6. He has to, yeah, if he gets 1 attack in, that should be enough.
Yeah, the 1 attack puts him 10. He's got 6 artifacts in
But
play.
but Joe does have a Venser.
Yep, that's true. And he's going to cast it right away. He has Venser with, and he also has a Crocus in play. Aha.
Wow. So here we go.
Bounce
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Kill this.
if he just made 5/5s, I think he wins this game.
Yeah, as do I.
You just got to make 5/5s and just attack him. The game doesn't have to be this complicated.
And so now Alex has to really give a lot of thought to his turn now because Tezzeret's gone.
Yeah, I mean, he could attack with a 5/5. He blocks with Venser and bounces it with Caracas.
Yep.
And then, you know, he casts Venser again at the end of Alex's next turn, bouncing the Pithing Needle, activates top, and now he's top counterbalance Venser Caracas.
Yeah.
So
That's a pretty good spot to be in.
yeah, I mean, we know Alex has a Worm Coil engine, but I don't think it's going to matter here. I mean, Joe's got 3 permanents in play that are threatening to, 4 with the Caracas, threatening to really just take over the game themselves.
So again, Alex does have that Worm Coil engine in hand, so you know we'll see what kind of line of play he can come up with. He also has that Chalice too. You're going to see him start by sacrificing Polluted Delta and moving himself down to 18. But again, Joe is really threatening. Alex has to move now. You know, he has to do something. He can't just sit around anymore.
Yeah, but I think his moment to move passed. I mean, he really needed to be more aggressive with that Tezzeret early on. Played way too cautious of the game. I mean, the fact is, you don't even know if Joe has Terminus in his deck after board, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know what he was playing around, but at this point, I just think he's a little too far behind. He could play Chalice for 4, right? He has 8 mana, so he can at least prevent the Jace from the Venser from coming back down.
And that's what you see now.
So really, no reason to activate your Caracas, I don't think. Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
reason to
he's
activate your
considering it, and he's just
So-
you just saw the shoulder shrug. Of,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any point to
All
do
right.
that.
Yeah, and I don't want to lock it up. I don't need to do it right now. I might as well just attack you for 2.
Now here's what's interesting. Chalice on 4 shuts off Tezzeret. Now we do know he has that Worm Coil engine in his hand, so that's a thing.
Also shuts down Jace from Joe's side too.
Yep.
Wow.
Batter
Okay.
Skull.
So Batterskull, pretty good draw here. He does have a Ratchet Bomb that he can break for 0.
Kills the Chalice though.
Does kill the Chalice, yeah. So Alex's deck not working out great with some of the interactions, but again, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Attacks with the 5/5. Joe drops to 10.
Yep.
So are we going to see a Worm Coil here?
Six mana, Worm Coil engine.
Probably would have liked to tap a
Counterbalance.
Demir Signet.
Not a
instead
Terminus.
of a land, but okay. So he has a Worm Coil in play. He has a lethal attack next turn, but it's, you know, dealing with the Batterskull as well as a Venser that he could just block and bounce if he wants to. So that's exactly, it looks like he's going to equip and attack. So he just blocks here, kills it, gets 2 tokens. He's going to gain 6 life going up to 16. Looks like Alex has 11 points of power in play. And Joe just has a land?
Joe does just have a land, but what you're going to see is he's just threatening to, on the end step, return the Battered Skull, recast it, you know, do that whole show.
This is actually a fine situation for Alex, though, because he still can activate the Ratchet Bomb, and the Venser is now no longer a threat, so he doesn't care if the Chalice of Void goes away.
True. And it's kind of easy to miss that Ratchet Bomb among all those other permanents that are kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
But don't forget, the Ratchet Bomb also does kill those tokens.
It doesn't kill the. It doesn't kill the.
It doesn't kill the talisman.
though.
Yeah, it does not kill the talisman.
It doesn't really matter because he's dropping him to 5.
Okay.
So it's actually like it should work out perfectly. If his plan is to just recast the Batterskull, I think Alex just goes for it and says, okay.
He's tapping a whole bunch of mana. He force most the Batterskull.
Hard cast
okay,
possible.
sure.
Okay, so Alex managed to pull that game out. Looked bad there for a second, but the game is tied. And again, this is we're down to only 16 minutes. We assume 3 minutes for sideboarding. You know, we're coming close to seeing whether or not this game can actually finish in a win or a draw.
Tick tock.
Tick tock, tick tock. You know, like I said, if you're a control player, you always got to be aware of whether or not you can close these games out fast. You know, and that's something Alex could have done, but he chose a different route. So,
yeah. And it is important. Time is super important in these games. 16 minutes, you know, we're probably going to start this game around 14 minutes to play. It is super important to these players. You know, closing speed is definitely something that's important. And again, Alex could have closed that game out a lot faster by just making 5-5s repeatedly and making Joe deal with them. Took a different route, did end up winning, but again, it took a couple extra minutes.
Yeah, and again, you know, Alex made a couple of decisions. Joe made obviously an error with the volcanic island, and it's these small mistakes you keep building up. They can cost you the match. Thankfully, in Alex's case, despite the fact that he made a mistake, Joe made a bigger mistake by not being aware of his mana. So allowed him to get the Tezzeret in play for a couple more turns, locked out that red elemental blast for a while. So.
And it's funny because
pretty big swings.
It's funny because that turn with the Jace and the Flutterstrand and the Volcanic Island, you know, his thought process is pretty clear. I mean, I'm going to play a Jace, I'm going to brainstorm, I'll sack away myself for the Flutterstrand, I'll be good to go. But instead, you know, he's supposed to, you know, play the Flutterstrand, sack it, use that to cast the Jace, brainstorm, put the stuff back, have the Volcanic Island available, and you'll have Red Elemental Blast at the ready. And then he would have actually probably been doing okay that game.
Yeah, and and it's funny too because before that happened, we were talking about how we felt Alex should just make a 5-5 and attack him and attack Joe and be aggressive here as opposed to just digging for a card. So we thought that might cost him, especially once we saw that Joe drew a red elemental blast. But you know, thankfully for Alex, that decision didn't hurt him because Joe made a slight mistake with his mana.
So both players are shuffling each other's decks right now. We're getting ready for a game 3. If you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, Osip Lebedovich here in the booth, SCG Live. We are here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. We have Glenn Jones over in the sideboard as well. Round 6 of 8 of the Legacy Tournament. We'll be giving away 3, 6, and 12 months of premium during our quarter, semi, and final rounds of this weekend. If you do want to join in on the conversation, you can find us on Twitter at SCG Live. You can also hashtag SCG Dallas. Let us know what we're missing, in case we are missing anything, as we are going to see a mulligan here from Alex.
So, yeah, a mulligan from Alex. Let's say that's another 2 minutes off the clock. Can Joe win in 10 minutes? I'd be surprised, but...
It's like saying, can someone win on a mull of 3?
Yeah. Oh, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, it can happen.
Yeah, of the 2 decks, I'd say Alex is probably the one who can actually win relatively quickly. But again, you know, turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic, that can win games very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially when your opponent's mulliganing. So, not the worst shape right here. Let's see if Alex keeps his second hand. Alex playing 61 cards. Decided to... Couldn't figure out which card to cut.
We dabble.
Yeah. That one Karn Liberated was just too necessary.
You don't like 7 mana spells in Legacy?
When it's my 61st card, I do not.
Oh, okay. Line in the sand.
Gotta make those hard cuts. Yeah.
Sensei's Divine.
Turn 1 top. Turn 1 top, turn 2 counterbalance. When your opponent doesn't have abrupt decay, it's still quite the combination.
But no balance thus far. We just have a Dark Slick Shores here from Alex. Let's see if we're going to find some mana, either Dimir, Signet. We're going to have a Ratchet Bomb. That one's rather unimpressive at this point.
And I got to say, when you're playing against the clock, Sensei's Divining Top does not help you.
Hey, Joe's a pretty fast topper.
He is fast. He is playing very fast. So.
I'm gonna see a brainstorm here. He's just overall a pretty fast player.
Yeah. So Terminus. It's like maybe Terminus and a land are gonna go away, and he plays a Arid Mesa. Only a pass. Yeah, see, by Alex activating his Ratchet Bomb for 1, I think Joe has to sacrifice his say Arid Mesa now, because Alex can respond to the sacrifice now by activating the Ratchet Bomb. And if he does that, then he basically gets rid of the Sensei Divine Top. Because even if Joe decides to activate the top, he'll get a card, but he's going to end up shuffling it away. So I think Joe might have made a mistake by not sacrificing in response to the activation of Ratchet Bomb. Because once Alex does that, it's pretty obvious what his plan is, you know? So we'll see if that actually plays out that way.
See a Talisman of Dominance.
Just more mana for Alex.
King of the mana.
So are we going to get a... Nope, no sacrifice.
No crack yet. See, Alex looks like he's ready, too. Just flooded Shran and a pass back. Looks like Joe's relatively content with the top card at the top of his library. Hopping, drawing, going.
Or maybe he's aware that he can't sacrifice a land. I mean,
sure.
He you know, it's interesting. But it looks like he's starting to get aware of the time.
Yep. Both these players do have 1 loss right now, so a draw, not the end of the world, but obviously not what they're looking for here.
Yeah, not ideal in round 6, especially with 2 more rounds to go. You probably need to win out. And even then, if you win out, your breakers might not be good enough. So a win is really what you're looking for. And it doesn't look like any player is really playing slowly, but obviously no one's putting any pressure on. So, and with the fact that Joe's keeps having to top, and you know, it's just there's.
No matter how fast you top, it still does take time.
Yeah.
So we do see a Caracas here from Joe, and we're going to see a spell, and it is going to be an Engineered Explosives for 2. Right. If you look at that board, you can see 2 Ratchet Bombs, a Talisman of Dominance, and a Demir Signet. So Engineered Explosives for 2 is pretty good right now.
Pretty good.
Mind Break
Trap. I actually thought whether or not I was like, oh, maybe he just wants to board in another counterspell, and yeah, there it is. Not the most efficient counterspell, but.
And now we're going to see Red Elemental Blast on Mind Break Trap.
There we go.
You know, just your everyday stack in Legacy. This is par for the course.
Yeah. Especially in this matchup.
Yeah. EE, trap it.
Yeah.
All right, blast your trap. Happens a lot in testing.
I don't think he wants to activate. No, there's no reason to do that. So, okay. Spells resolve, and that should be a pass back.
Yeah, he's waiting. You see two. Yeah, and Joe.
But this is fine though.
Patiently waiting.
He can activate his Ratchet Bomb for 0 though. This is exactly what he should do.
He can do that. He doesn't need to do it right away though.
No,
like,
but
he can untap and he can draw.
But he can't let Joe untap.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because if Joe really wants to activate that Ratchet Bomb, he's going to have to sacrifice the lands, which means then he could spring his trap.
Yeah, and get that top finally.
So Alex really has to activate his Ratchet Bomb for 0 if he wants to get rid of that top, which I think, given the fact that, Trap Sprung.
Trap Sprung. Finally.
Trap Sprung. Dun dun dun. Wait.
No.
What?
He's trying to figure out what the order he's supposed to activate this. So okay, so he's blowing this for 0 with the sack on the with the fetch line sack on the stack.
Yeah, to kill
that kills that. Yeah. And now he's gonna crack this to take care of that. Joe's gonna draw a card. Top goes on top, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll search for something here."
Again, really wish he didn't tap. So I think we're getting a counter spell here anyway, so it doesn't look like the Tezzeret is going to resolve. But again, I really wish he didn't tap both his artifacts to cast it.
Give himself
an option of actually making one a 5/5 and just swinging in. Because again, he's got to be aware of the time, you know.
And there's a.
But it doesn't look like it's going to resolve anyway.
There's actual counterspell.
Good old counterspell.
Too good.
Mercadian Masks. So do we have
Arid Mesa Pass.
So
it's a big situation for Alex. He's got. I mean, if you're Alex, I know we're working here with pretty good information, but if you're Alex, you got to feel that, you know, the window's open here, you know, for something good.
Yeah. Just if you're, again, Alex doesn't have like the brainstorms and oh, well, there's something. Baleful Strix, everyone's favorite cantrip.
Hit me.
You know, Alex. Oh wow. Okay, so we have Venser Caracas.
Force of will.
Oh, wow. That was huge right there.
Yeah.
So it did look like Joe had a Batterskull. So he's gonna be able to play a Batterskull here. But again, time is ticking. We're talking about 5 minutes here. And Baleful Strix will be able to actually block and kill the Germ token, which will buy him at least another turn of Joe having to recast the equipment. But is Alex going to be able to draw something better? Try to seal the game.
Alex is thinking, can I get a good card, please?
Can we get the 61st Karn that we were just discussing? One time. It'll finally resolve.
We got a Tezzeret.
There we go.
All right.
Tezzeret. And now I think you got to dig. With the Batterskull, you don't really have an option. Got to dig.
You
want a Worm Coil engine. You want a. What can you draw here? Another Baleful Strix, maybe? Solemn
Oh,
Simulator.
no. Okay, never mind. I thought he missed, but no, just a talisman.
Just a talisman.
That's kind of like missing.
It's kind of like missing, yeah. Looks like he's got Engineered Explosives. Play that for 0, possibly.
So you're tapping 2 mana, gonna play that talisman. And
and do you attack with the Baleful Strix now?
Yeah, just play back. Play a little safe. You can start to turn up the heat soon, though.
Yeah, maybe he wants to play. Oh wow, Jojo or Jace the Mind Sculptor. Again, a great card, but you know we're less under 4 minutes here, so he's really got to. And Alex is at 19, so.
Hiya. Batterskull coming in.
I like blocking here. Okay.
It's gonna EE that, clear that thing up.
So play Jace the Mind Sculptor. We're gonna Fate Seal or Brainstorm? Brainstorm, it looks like.
We need some action. The only card in Sands Terminus is a Force of Will.
Entreat the Angels. Wow. Okay, so now we're talking. Now we have something that can close the game out.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that Alex didn't just block with the Baleful Strix and let that die.
Yep.
Keep the Engineer exposed around for another turn. But looks like Joe's might be able to close this game out relatively quickly. I don't think Alex has another Engineered Explosives in his deck.
Any Academy runes to be found?
He has no Academy runes.
Uh-oh.
So looks like Entreat the Angels could close this game out. He has a Ratchet Bomb. No, but I think he used both Ratchet Bombs, correct?
Yeah, he's used 2.
Yeah, it looks like Entreat the Angels might actually win this game.
Terminus! Gonna take care of the Talisman, gonna take care of the Baleful Strix. Those are gonna go to the bottom. Sensei's Divining Top on top of the deck. And you have a Worm Coil engine. Okay.
Right, that's not gonna do much. So as long as he still has the Entreat the Angels underneath the Sensei's Divining Top, looks like we're going to see a pretty good turn on Alex's end step.
So you see Jace take care of Worm Coil engine very easily.
1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like he can make 4 Angels.
The scary thing here too, as you see him make a 5/5, man. If that is Entreat the Angels on top there, yeah, and I'm pretty sure you're right that it is.
I think he makes Entreat for 4.
And there's not much Alex knew about this, but it's kind of like he could have, replayed Batterskull. Oh, but ooh.
Wow, what a top deck from Alex to stop the Entreat.
Wow.
Now Jace goes
now
away.
Jace is gone.
Oh wow. less than 2 minutes. What is Joe gonna do here?
He has a top.
Top. Is he gonna bounce the batter skull, replay batter skull? He's got a forcible in his hand, I believe. He's gonna top here.
That's a huge draw.
He's got a detention sphere. But that's basically just gonna mean I'm not gonna lose the game. It's not gonna win him the game. So looks like we're at the stage of the game where Joe's gonna try to just draw things out here. Yep. We're gonna activate. What are we gonna do here? Make another 5-5.
Make another 5-5.
Back for 10.
He's getting to work.
Drops him to 8.
Players in the draft challenge.
Even batter skull's not very good right
Your
now.
judge has your parents, so meet him in your play area.
Alex does just pass back.
Decided not to play Wormcoil Engine here.
So he's short on mana. He has 5 mana. He could play a land, float with the City of Traders if he has a land in his hand.
I think you have to play Wormcoil Engine here because, if we know that Joe is a forcible, but he doesn't have a blue card, he'd have to tap 5, which means he can't bounce batter skull.
Sure.
So your City of Traders isn't doing that much for you right now. The best thing it could do for you is cast a Wormcoil Engine, which you could have done. So we know Joe has a Tension Sphere on top of his deck, but he's going to replay batter skull. Is he going to? Looks like he might just hold the Detention Sphere in his hand to use as insurance with the Forcible, or no, he wants to cast the Detention Sphere. So interesting here. The sack kind of suggests to me that he's either gonna activate the top or cast a Tension Sphere. I think he's probably gonna activate the top. I think he wants to keep the Detention Sphere for the force, but no.
He's gonna cast it.
So is he gonna get rid of one of the artifacts?
I think it's got to be Tezzeret, right? I think that's the biggest problem. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, he's got to get rid of one of the artifacts because Tezzeret, there's no other artifacts in play for him to make a creature anyway,
Okay.
and God forbid he gets rid of the Tezzeret and Alex draws some sort of answer to like a go for the throat.
Yeah,
or
he's just
something,
dead immediately.
He's just dead immediately. So now I think Alex can dig, try to find something to deal with the Germ token. I don't think there's anything in this deck though.
We are in extra turns right now too. Alex is turn 1, so he's got this turn and 2 more to get this game over with. You're going to see an attack here with the Talisman. 5/5 right into the batter skull. Joe's going to take it. It's going to go down to 2. We know there's a Wormcoil Engine. You're going to float with the City.
There we go. Would have preferred this last turn, but it could be good enough. Let's see.
Also, something to keep in mind there too. Ooh, force.
So
okay.
he knew he had it. Okay, so he drops him to 1 now. So this is interesting. He still has outs.
Gonna kill Tezzeret.
Gonna kill Tezzeret, but he only goes up to 5. So if there's some answer to the Germ token, if you can get it out of the way, let's see what he tops for. Oh wow, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
That's worth it.
That's worth it. Down comes Jace, bounce. So looks like he's going to be able to survive, but doesn't look like he has enough turns to kill Alex. So it looks like this game's going to end in a draw.
Turn 3. Alex going to draw a card. Alex so close to winning this game.
Yeah.
Especially when he drew the Seat of the Synod too as his land, because then he can make that an artifact with Tezzeret. I thought that was actually going to turn around and seal it. You're going to see another Talisman of Dominance. You're going to see Jace the Mind Sculptor take care of that one. But now the batter skull starts to get to work. It's turn 4.
This is turn 4, though. Alex's turn is going to be the last turn, and Alex at 19 really doesn't,
And you can see Joe's a little bit frustrated too. And Joe played really fast. I don't think it has anything to do with him.
It's just, it's the deck.
Yeah.
You're topping every turn. You're sacking lands to search through your deck. I don't think either player was playing slowly. It's just the nature of the decks.
Yeah.
You just can't. And I that's what my fear was. I just didn't think they'd be able to finish in time.
Yeah. And when Joe was closing game one, we talked about, those couple of minutes he spent on, trying to figure out, am I going to counter bail Phil Strix, or what am I going to do about this? When it didn't matter, he could just immediately go, that result's bouncing with Jace Killiu. And then that's a 5-second play where we took maybe about a 2-minute play.
And you might have thought, oh, Osip, you're being silly. There's like 35 minutes left in the round. But the thing is, he had a germ token in play attacking every turn. If he had an extra 2 minutes, he probably wins this game.
Yeah.
And he just spent too much time in the first game doing things. Even an extra 45 seconds might have been enough. Like, you need basically an extra 2 turns maybe. So, again, you want to be sure that you're not playing too fast and you're making right decisions, but you also don't want to overthink things, He was doing too much that game at the end of the game. That's why I brought it up. I thought this might happen. And, the fact that it did happen just shows you that when you can close things out, close them out.
Yeah. So delicate balance, having to play at a relatively fast pace, especially when you're playing a deck like Miracle Blade, while also taking the time to figure out your decision tree, but at the same time closing the game out and using the amount of time given, 50 minutes. Balancing all that stuff is not easy. It's a skill that takes some time to figure out how to do.